70% of the time, people live in survival, live in stress. And that invisible field of electromagnetism that's surrounding the body, that resource of energy, is going to be squandered into chemistry. And every time you react, the field around your body shrinks a little bit more, and you become more matter, less energy, more particle, less wave. And then the hormones of stress cause you to narrow your focus on the cause. So when you narrow your focus on the cause, you're focusing on the particle in quantum physics, matter, and your senses are so conditioned into focusing on matter that you're beginning to experience separation. So the more I live by the hormones of stress, the more I have separation. There's separation between me and you, and my senses are fooling me into it. But the unified field says there is no separation. So then, if you're addicted to those emotions and they're heightening your senses, that's what they do in survival, and you become a materialist, and your field around your body is shrinking, then you're going to feel separate from the quantum field, and it's going to take a long time for you to create what you want, because you're separate from the field, and you will be matter trying to change matter. So the moment you begin to activate this center, this is our connection. This is our first connection to the unified field. The moment energy moves into this center, and we've measured this, the field around the body expands, and once there's energy in the heart, guess where it goes? Straight up to the brain. The heart acts as an amplifier, and literally begins to increase energy in the brain. So now, once that field begins to expand, and you get beyond, you take all of your attention off your body, off people in your life, the things you own, place you need to be in time itself, and you become pure consciousness, and you take all of your attention out of this three-dimensional reality, out of the known, and you start putting your attention on that field. There is a technique that we teach to do that, and you begin to feel connected from that field. Now, the faster the frequency, the higher the emotion you feel, the shorter amount of time it's going to take for it to appear in your life, because the faster the frequency, the closer you're getting to oneness and wholeness. So then when you teach people how to get beyond all of the elements in this three-dimensional reality and begin to open their heart, that frequency is their connection to the field. The moment they open their heart, they become more energy than matter, more wave than particle. And now that becomes the amplifier that begins to generate a whole new set of thoughts, a whole new consciousness. And that heart center then makes us want to serve, makes us want to take care of one another, to inform one another, to help one another, to give to one another, to heal one another. That's what creates unity. We know this to be the case. We've taken 1,000 people in a room. We've set 50 people in the front of the room wearing HRV monitors, heart rate monitors, and we've told the entire audience to move into heart coherence and brain coherence and have the intent for the greatest good for the people sitting in the front of the room. In a matter of seconds, all their hearts go into coherence at the exact same time, in the exact same day, in the exact same meditation. They're being influenced by energy, and their autonomic nervous system is being entrained to a new frequency. So imagine then, you begin to change your energy, you begin to affect many people in your life. If you truly practice like that level of gratitude or embracing the emotions of your future, you're literally, if you understand, you're changing your gene expression when you're doing it. You're strengthening your immune system when you do it. All of a sudden, you start to see all these fundamental benefits that are a side effect of your efforts. It's going to become something that you want to do all the time, something that you look forward to. And I think that that's why we're here. I think, and when you truly get to that point, like it's an unlearning. We're hypnotized. We're conditioned into believing we need a reason for gratitude or joy, and consumerism makes it really clear, right? Until I get that, I'm this. But what if you've been creating, and every time you have the thought of your future, you've done it so many times it makes you feel like you're connected to your future? Well, that's a conditioning as well. If you have the thought of your future and you feel the lack that it's not there, then you're back to the victim, right? But if you can have the thought, and the thought actually produces, just like fear, the thought of something terrible happening in your life creates the feeling of fear, the thought of something wonderful in your life creating the feeling of gratitude. Then when you think about your future, you begin to emotionally condition your body into that future. Now here's the payoff. Thoughts are the electrical charge in the quantum field, and feelings are the magnetic charge in the quantum field. And how you think and how you feel broadcasts information and energy into the field. So
into the collective field.
Into the unified field. So the question is, what are you broadcasting every single day? So then, we know that once you begin to self-regulate and you begin to open your heart, just in that small exercise that we did, the act of creating that kind of coherence in your heart begins to produce a measurable magnetic field up to 3 meters wide. That heart is actually producing a resonance. That energy, that frequency carries information. And when your heart is open, this is our center of oneness. This is our center of wholeness. This is the union of polarity and duality. This is the connection of opposites. So when the heart starts to become activated and we start to feel whole, and it begins to put that energetic pattern into the field, that frequency can carry the thought of your health. It can carry the thought of your wealth. And the frequency of suffering can't carries different thoughts. It can't carry the thought of health. The toughest part is, can I teach my body emotionally what that future feels like before it happens? Now, that sounds really easy, but when it comes down to feeling gratitude before the experience, most people go, yeah, I gotta go. Didn't really feel it, you know. But the person who says, I'm not getting up, I'm just not gonna get up until I open my heart to life. Now, to me, that's a willingness. So then as they trade guilt and suffering for joy and freedom and inspiration and a love for life, and they're doing it without relying on anything outside of them, they're going to be more prone to no longer need anything outside of them to make them feel that way. They're going to feel that way naturally, and then everybody's going to be really suspicious, like, he changed his medication. Ooh, he's doing something. He's not telling me. You know, you're going to show up unpredictable in your life, and that's when we begin to become outstanding or supernatural or extraordinary. But you can't take any of that with you to become someone else. And if someone says to me, well, I really can't do it because I've had this experience 22 years ago or 30 years ago, I'm going to say to you, that event had such a strong emotion that you haven't changed since that experience. And forget about the experience. Just overcome the emotion, because the memory without the emotional charge is called wisdom. And that's why we're here. So then you can look back at the past and you can say, wow, I learned something really great. I'd never do that again. And by the way, when the experience finally lands in your lap and you prove to yourself how powerful you really are, that you created something by thought alone, and that event comes in a way that you never expected, that surprises you and leaves no doubt that what you were doing inside of you produced an effect outside of you, and you are exuberant and you feel worthy of life and feel grateful to be alive, that you are in love with the moment, you will look back at your entire past in that moment, I swear, and you will not want to change one thing in your past because it got you to that present moment. And that's when it was all worth it. That's when it all makes sense. Now you're free from the past, and now you're not thinking about the past any longer. You're believing in your future more than you're believing in your past. You're more in love with your future than you are with your past.